Hello, Kopi Ke Milo podcast lah. Apa lagi bro? Episode 49 with Zamaera. This episode is fire bro. If you are tuning in right now, consider this a gift, man. This episode is a jam. But do take note, basically 3 minutes into the podcast, you'll get 3 minutes of lack of clarity in some sort. Had a problem with one of the mics, and that only lasts for 3 minutes. So within that 3 minutes, you get to hear my cat making sounds and all that stuff. If you are looking for the visuals, you can look up on youtube.com/milofeco, MILOFAEQO. This is a special episode for reals. You got Zamaera singing, Zamaera cracking jokes, Zamaera talks about her come up, recording herself singing, signing to record labels, and then Kartel discovered her. Then the rest is history. Okay, this is Hello Kopi Ke Milo podcast, and today we have Zamaera in the building.
What's poppin', everybody?
Zamaera in Milo's crib. Wow.
Yes.
This is legendary.
We live so close to each other.
Where
Actually.
are you staying?
I live in SS14.
14.
Yeah.
Near SU?
No,
SJ.
that's 18.
Sorry, near SJ.
Yes, gotta get your facts right.
Is it like near the shop lots or
No, it's near to the school. I literally moved houses, but all in SS14,
Right.
like 3 times.
Yeah, wow. So that means you went to SJ then.
I went to SJ. I was the SJ gal.
Wow, is there? Okay, for those listeners who don't already know who you are, who is Zamaera and how young is she?
Zamaera is a 23, soon to be 24 year old rapper, singer-songwriter from Subang Jaya, Malaysia.
Wow.
Yeah, and like I say 23 still because I technically am still 23. I'm trying to,
Yeah, that's how we see it these days. Like,
yes.
if it's not yet your birthday, then it doesn't count. Right?
Yeah, it doesn't count because really, like, even when I went to the clubs, like in the US, like you can't go if you're like 21 this year, but then it's not your birthday yet.
Yeah. That's legit.
So I'm like, okay, might as well tell you. It's not like a lie. It's the truth. So yeah, I do music, and I've always loved music ever since I was young, but I never knew I was going to be a rapper or like a singer even.
Right.
But I always knew I loved to entertain people.
Okay, how would you describe yourself? Like energetic, bubbly, or?
Yeah, really, those first 2 words are always my first 2 options.
Really?
Because I feel like I am full of energy. People always like on Instagram or Insta story, they always like, where do you get your energy from? Like, we pakai battery apa? And I'm like, and then I do like silly videos. I do videos of me like putting a charger and then putting it in my ear and pretending like I'm charging myself at night.
You've done that before.
Yeah, I did that before. I did that like last week, and then so yeah, I am very energetic. I'm super bubbly, very positive person. I'm extremely friendly. I'm very goofy, but at the same time, I can be, on a serious note, very emotional with obviously my work and my art. Very empathetic. Really embrace sort of me being a woman and me being where I come from. So I really embrace like my Asianness, my machi sides and everything. So yeah, that's who I am.
How was your childhood like? Like I wonder like how does it feel like to be Zamaera? Like the human being behind the rapper. You know what I mean?
I would say growing up, I was always I'd always been sort of the, not black sheep, but I had always been like the one that was singled out, and not in a bad way, not singled out like, oh, people don't want me to like hang out with them. It's more of like, it was always, I was the one who's jumping around in all the different groups, which I'm in schools and stuff. I was never really part of one clique because I love to be part of everybody's, crew and stuff like that. And it was great. It was great because I always felt like I belonged somewhere. And that's how I carry myself now. Even sometimes when I go overseas for recording or performing and stuff, you might feel kind of anxious coming from the outside in. You're like, how will people respond to you? But I've never felt that way. I mean, like I felt it at the beginning before I went there, and then you go there, and then they're like, welcome. They welcome you with open arms, and I've always felt like I fit in almost every culture. I fit in almost every society.
I guess you have the adaptability. Yeah, you have done that all your life, so it's an easy, like, simple thing to do, right?
Exactly. So a good friend of mine, Sona One, he was actually the first person to introduce me this word, this term actually, third culture kids.
Wow.
And I feel so much with that, like third culture kids, because we're not even pure race, for example. We don't identify with just like, Melayu only or Chinese only or Indian only. My parents are like super rojak. That makes me super rojak, and I think being able to carry that around with me has always made me feel like I can belong everywhere, anywhere I go. As long as you're open and you have this, like, you want to accept the other people regardless of where they come from. The emotions are still the same.
Yeah.
Which is why I do what I do. I just kind of want to show. I just want people to understand that, like, you can go as far as like Iceland or Alaska, wherever, all these crazy places you've never been before, and then in the end, it's just like we are really all the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you
feel that way?
I feel exactly the same. I'm glad you actually said it.
Yeah.
It's like most of us in the Klang Valley, I would say, we are struggling to find our identity in a way, because we are all labeled as like whatever you just said, like Melayu. We don't even feel like we are Melayu, but we are Melayu in a way, But like you said, third culture, like Sona once said, right?
Yeah,
so
and like, what is
it.
Melayu even? Like, we've got descendants from Java and Bugis and all that. I mean, if you really want to go into sort of that, and the thing that's allowed me sort of to feel as part and belonging in all these different groups is that there has never been anyone in my family or sort of in my surrounding, in my environment, that has made me feel like, I only have to identify with one thing, because I watch a lot of interviews and I read the news a lot about, certain issues happening like far and wide in the US, in the Western world, like cultural appropriation and all these things. They're like, okay, if you are like African American, you can only like identify yourself as like, depending on you are third generation of which country and blah blah blah, and then you can't be just like American.
Yeah.
Like, why can't you be just like, why can't you just be American, for example?
Yeah, exactly.
And so like for us it's different, or for me at least, growing up in my sort of community, tak ada orang macam like shun you, like, you ni apa, you try to be so much of this, or you try to be so much of that. I'm like, no, I'm not trying, this is me. This is real, this is me, this is
a real Zamaera.
This is really me, like literally I sing it's crazy. I don't know kenapa lah Tuhan buat macam ni. I don't know, God, I don't know why you made me like this. Okay.
And then if you look at Malays, right, if you really trace Malays, we are not even Malays to begin with. Like, three generations above us, right? We are from all over the place, We could be anything.
We
right?
could be anything. Like my lineage, for example, my dad's grandfather comes from Yemen, and his grandfather on his mom's side comes from Tamil Nadu, which is in India. So that already speaks, like, I'm not even, I'm like maybe like fourth generation Arabic and Indian, and then my mom's side is Thai, mix of a bit of Chinese and Malay as well, but from Pahang. So you really, if you want to understand your roots and know more about sort of where you come from, there's always that space where you can find, because where you want an answer, you can find it. You just have to look for it. And I think a lot of people in this day and age where sort of instant gratification is just like a thing, where they want to know it now, and they don't want to go in depth and look for more and ask more and look for the purpose and find the real source and things like that. And sometimes that's why people really don't know why they're supporting like all this Ketuanan Melayu, for example, in Malaysia, and I don't agree with that. I realize that we do have it, and there is that sort of privilege in every country. In every country you go to, they always have that like white privilege, and then you have the Malays as well, the Bumi Putra rights. Why do I get 6% per annum at ASB, but then my other,
Yeah.
non-Bumi Putras get less than that.
Yeah.
Or opportunities to study, for example, in tertiary education. I'm super for equality, especially when it comes to education, because everybody should be given the same sort of chances, regardless of like what their background is. Like, who cares whether you're Malay or freaking Chinese or Indian? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, y'all study hard for it. Like, did you have anybody, like your friends and stuff, who tried to apply for scholarships and stuff and didn't get through because of their race?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure, me too.
Yeah, and then from my side is actually went to Chinese school. So yeah, I don't know. I saw your story.
You?
The
That
jam.
was the one you went to?
Yeah, the jam that you went through. That was my school. Yeah.
It was so funny. Grab uncle, he was like, "Alamak girl, I don't know where is your house lay. This one is jam already." I was like, "Uncle, never mind. It's okay, don't worry. If
So
you
yeah.
don't know, then you don't try."
So all my life I've been mingled with mostly Chinese, right? So when they don't even try to apply for all these scholarships because they know by default they won't get it, or they have bigger dreams, for example, because with our tertiary education is a little bit more limited, right? The you know what I mean?
That's true.
Yeah, so it is also a good thing and a bad thing. In equality wise, we are not there, but it helps them who doesn't get the opportunities to go bigger. They don't just stay at surface level.
Yeah.
But with majority of Malays, they are happy with whatever they are offered, so
Right.
they're just there. You know what I mean?
And also, we should put a disclaimer right now that we're not generalizing, okay?
Yeah.
Like, this is totally not, and because I feel like sometimes when people listen and they're not here with us, they wouldn't understand the context of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So we have to put a disclaimer that we, not at any point are we generalizing. It's just
Exactly.
through our own experiences, right?
Yeah. Wow. Has music been a part of your life for the longest time, or is it like a new source of creative expression? Were you doing something else as a kid? How do you express yourself?
I mean, music had always been a very fundamental part of my life in whether it's to mengeratkan hubungan silaturahim with my family.
Right.
So essentially we would be doing like family trips in the car, driving to Melaka or whatever, and my parents, they burn CDs. They didn't buy CDs, they burn CDs like every Asian parent. And it was great because they never just like stuck to one genre. It was like Celine Dion, and the next track would be The Police, and the next track would be Missy Elliott. So it was this whole range of different genres of music, and we would all because we listened to them over and over again. It became like a thing to karaoke these songs in the car.
Yeah.
So, and we will all memorize every song from like track 1 to track 10. So, it's great being able to sort of share that, because I know some families can be, you can get a little bit shy with your parents and stuff, but I'm super close to them. And then when I went to high school and primary school, I started like joining all this, singing competitions and SSG Idol, as I recall. I had a group called the Cheetah Girls, named after Raven Simone's Cheetah Girls from Disney Channel. Yeah, and we won. Okay, we won. The three of us.
Yeah.
It was my best friend Rosalind, Izati, and myself. And yeah, it was crazy. It was like standard 3, standard 4. Yeah, and then
So what was the first moment that you remember, like, okay, you have something to express and music is the medium?
Well, the first time I sort of wrote my own, song, when I was 16 years old. I just finished a talent show that we did, and then one of the band members from a different team, he reached out to me. He said, "Hey, would you like to come to the studio with me and just record, maybe write some stuff?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, that'd be so cool." And I went to the studio called IBP, Irama Bayu Productions, in Puchong Kinrara, and I did like a 3-track demo. I wrote 2 of my own songs on the guitar.
Wow.
Yeah, I played the guitar, and I did like a cover, Rihanna song. Cheers to the freaking weekend. Yeah, it's the old song. And then I I sent it out. I sent it out to like Kartel, I sent it out to KRU, I sent it out to
You were
Sony.
16.
I was 16. It was funny. I didn't know what I was doing.
So that's how it began.
That's how it began.
Wow.
Like it was a demo, it was like mixed and mastered and by Edwin. Thank you, Edwin Anand, for hooking me up, and then I sent it to all these different sort of labels and stuff, not really expecting anything. And I had left to Italy for an exchange program for like 3 or 4 months. And then they called me after I came back from Kartel. They called me, they were like, hey, let's meet up. Let's meet up. And that from then on, I had the opportunity, Joe gave me the opportunity to perform with him at 789 Ascot Hotel. Yeah, the first song I sang with Joe was Erykah Badu, The Roots. What's the name of the song? Oh my god. You got me. If you don't worry about where I've been or who I saw. And it was crazy because that song had singing and rapping, but I never knew I wanted to rap.
Oh, it hasn't started
No,
yet?
no. I did not start. I only started really rapping like in 2017.
Whoa.
Yeah, I never rapped before this. I mean, like I rhymed, but I didn't consider myself a rapper because I didn't think I would, go into that line. And now it's like I can't stop rapping. I wish I could, but I can't.
Yeah.
I can't stop.
So it started with Kartel. That's how you fell in love with hip hop, I guess, or
I fell in love with hip hop because when I was like 17, or sorry, when I was 16, I listened to my first hip hop album, like consciously listened to hip hop, which was Tupac's All Eyes on Me punya album,
At 16?
and it was actually 17. I was 17, yeah. So actually I was 16 when I made the demo, 17 when I first linked up with Kartel and Joe and Sona and the boys. So 17, I listened to the album, and it was weird because at that time Tupac was dead and gone, and I was in my mind, this little Asian girl from Malaysia feeling Tupac's lyrics, what the hell, it's so weird, and I dissected it because I studied English literature, and sometimes it just takes a lot of reading and going through to understand the double, triple entendres, and it just became very natural. Be curious about what people had to say, because there's this thing about words and lyrics that intrigue me so much. Because some things that you see on the surface is not really what they mean, like macam the saying, ada udang sebalik batu.
Yeah.
And I was very interested in that, to see wow, you can say 5 words and mean so many different things, because there's wordplay involved, there's a lot of double, triple entendres.
And most of the time, artists don't explain what they mean. They just write the songs and then they perform and all. But the audience interpret it in a different way, right?
Of course, exactly.
So yeah.
And I think that's the most exciting part, because everybody will interpret it differently,
Exactly.
depending on what they're going through and what kind of emotion they're feeling. And yeah, I didn't know at that time that rap really was like rhythm and poetry, and I did a lot of poems in school. I wrote a lot of poems. I did storytelling, in fact, in school, and that's kind of like the natural progression of it. Storytelling is like a competitive sport in Malaysia. I don't know if you know. Did you have it in school? Storytelling?
No.
Well, so in Sekolah Kebangsaan and Sekolah Menengah, not Sekolah Menengah, but Sekolah Kebangsaan, you have storytelling, which is you have to memorize a story. It can be your own or it can be by an author, and then you have to dress up in a specific character, and you tell the story, and then it can last anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes, right? And I started in Standard 3, and then I did it, and I went all the way to nationals.
Wow.
So I was representing Selangor, which is a big deal. That was the biggest thing that I had for me going on then. And I think it progressed in such a way that I'd always loved being on stage, and I'd always loved sharing the story, even though the story wasn't mine. My story was about an old man and a sparrow and this old woman, and then they were arguing, and the sparrow was actually a genie or something, something like that lah. And I realized that when I was on stage, I captured a lot of people's attention, and it's not so often that when you want to say something, people want to hear you.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I have to use this to an advantage, to the point where now it's I'm not even doing music anymore because it's what, I want to do. It's because like I have to do it because this is what I'm meant to do.
Yeah, you feel it.
I feel it. I feel it
soul.
in me, and it's not just music, but it's more of the connecting with people, whether it's through conversation, like whether it's through a podcast, whether it's through doing music on stage, whether it's through like an interview. I know that there's something that's been given to me or borrowed to me as a gift, and trying to connect people and things and to your higher consciousness and things like that. And it's like super spiritual.
Yeah, that's where this conversation is heading.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So with Kartel, the moment you have given the opportunity to perform with Joe, Sona and all, was that considered like a sign? Are you signed or are you?
Yeah, basically I was, with Kartel for a couple of years, and it was great because they taught me a lot of things and gave me a lot of different platforms to just basically brush on my skill and find more love towards hip hop. Like Sona, hands down is, I don't know, he's like my big brother, but at the same time he's also one of the reasons why I am here today. Like there's few people who are like that, especially men in my life, and Sona one is one of those people who I can easily say is a very big reason as to why I am where I am today. I spent a lot of my times with him just like watching him in the studio doing, mixing or mastering or making a beat. He taught me a lot about structure. He gave me a lot of great, life advice. We were the closest in age also in Kartel at that time, which is why. Because everybody, and I was always the youngest. I mean, like 17, for God's sake,
Yeah.
17, super young. But yeah, I think if it wasn't for him, I think where I am as a musician would be very different. I mean, just like anything, just if anything in your life was different,
It's a butterfly effect, right?
Yeah, exactly. Your course of life would be different. So that was great. And then, I wanted to grow out of it. I mean, they obviously, as a label, had their own sort of vision of what they wanted to do, and I had my own vision as an artist, and we just decided to part ways. But they've always been supportive of me still, Joe, and all of them. They still give me opportunities to perform. Like when we went to 16 Baris, for example, they could have called anybody else.
Yeah.
There was like 45 rappers, was it? No, yeah, must have for 16 Baris.
Yeah.
For season 1, but 45. Season 2, dah berapa lagi,
Exactly.
They could have called whoever else, but then they called, me and Airlift. So those kinds of opportunities are always greatly appreciated. Because you get to travel.
So it sort of you sort of part ways in 2015, more or less.
No, actually, to 20 end of 2016, 2017. That's when I want to put out Heli Kelly.
Yeah, and then how did that transition happen between Kartel to Lakefront Records,
Lakefront
right?
Records.
How did that happen?
So after I put Heli Kelly out and I was independent, I made that try with Kid Sante. Amazing time, I didn't really know like what the next move was, but I essentially I was reached out by Brian from Lakefront, who's the CEO, and he was mutual friends with the first manager that I had, and they asked me whether I would be interested in being a part of an artist development program, which not a lot of labels do anymore. Even in the US, they barely do artist development programs, because major labels always have to spend so much money on an artist already, that they need the artist to already be developed, already have a big following. So I signed this artist development program, which began in June 2017 and was supposed to last for 2 years, which was like June this year. And within these 2 years, actually, I was not supposed to release anything. I was not to have any, no projects, just purely go for media training, rudiments, vocal classes, because I had never gone for all these things. It's super professional stuff. Mana I pergi dulu, you know what I'm saying? And and I just did that with my music director, Jingles from the UK. I love him. He's been a very important person in my performances, and the reason why I'm able to like to be this creative, especially with all planning the sets, because it takes a lot of time. People don't realize that. People don't realize that when you perform, even though if it's 15 minutes ke apa, the preparation to that 15 minutes is so much. Like my Instagram videos yang macam 50 seconds, like I think I spoke about it before. Like one of my videos I did early this year, which was Sicko Mode punya remix, I took like 250 takes.
Oh.
Yeah, well, maybe more,
Damn.
but something like slightly less than 300, but 250 plus. But it was like 50 seconds. Because I was not happy from the moment that I wrote it to like, the flow, and because there was no beat, it was like the hardest one I recorded. So anyway, I was part of the development program, and last year in like March, they suddenly the label was like, oh, I think you're ready to go record EP album in the US, and I was like, oh my god, this is crazy.
Oh. So that is how it happened. Just like because they noticed you and then they gave you a chance and you went for it, and then
I went for it, and it just but at the same time it's like there's so many coincidences for it to be a coincidence, I'm saying, like I could have, for example, signed up to the artist development program and then not liked or didn't get along with the music director, or didn't get along with the label, or maybe the vision was not the same, and something along the way, something happened but it wasn't like that. It was like when the door kept every time there was a door, if I choose to open it, I pass through, and then there was like another door, there was
it's
another door,
like
and then
that.
another door, and it just keeps on going to this goal that I have in my mind. Because in 2017 I kept on telling people I was going to go to the US, but this is before I knew that I was going to go to the US. I didn't know what's the plan. I didn't know I was going to be signed to a label.
This is like manifestation, right there.
It is.
Yeah.
This is the law of attraction. I spoke about this yesterday on my Instagram live. It really is true.
Yeah.
Like I spoke about going to Indonesia. I mean, like I have like a few artists I really, really want to collaborate with. And I told my label, I was like, I want to record with Ramen Girl. I want to record with Ariel Nayaka. And then he was like, okay, cool. You have a way to contact them. And I said, I'll ask my DJ to meet them. And then I meet them in Singapore.
Recently, right? The Nike,
yeah, like
right?
literally like a couple days ago in Singapore. And they're like, whenever you're in Indonesia, let us know. We're gonna record together. And I'm like, okay, now I'm going to Indonesia this Friday. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's not crazy, but it's also magic.
I mean, crazy in a way that it's like it's not crazy because it really proves the point of whatever you think becomes what you want.
Exactly.
Like if you literally tell yourself you cannot do it, you won't be able to. I sound like a crazy lady on Oprah.
You're not.
I sound like a crazy lady on Oprah. Like, let me tell you, Oprah, I got my third book, and it's about positivity and manifestation. You know what I'm saying?
You're not the crazy lady.
Yeah.
I feel the same with things in my life. How I even meet you. Like how in the world is this possible? And
exactly.
Yeah, and
like we met at UMTV Raps.
Yeah.
We were recording for Harvin.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, we were just like in the same van.
And then now you're at my house recording the
Right.
podcast. Yeah, it's just the manifestation of your imagination.
Yeah,
If you believe in that and you say it or you just believe it, just let it flow. Like you said, the door. That is exactly how I feel about life right now. All the time.
Me too. And all the time. And so then, I mean, and not by being this positive, sometimes people will say, wow, do you have any struggles? You don't have any challenges to go through. No, that's not true. Challenges come in all forms, in all ways, not necessarily. But then because you're so passionate, you're so disciplined with your work, that whatever challenges that come in through to you, in the form of work, it doesn't feel like a challenge. It's like you will go through whatever you need to go through for you to arrive at your goal. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, challenges always, personal issues, you always still have that, family related, anything with your friends and stuff. These are all issues that people go through on a daily basis. And I understand how lucky I am to be able to pursue music, full time. For the past 2 years. Like it's crazy. It's not crazy. I keep on saying crazy because sometimes it's almost like a disbelief. like, when you wanted to pursue, for example, this podcasting, how many people believed in it?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
How many people believed in me doing music? Like, I've been doing music for, this long now. Rapping only 2 years, but then like music for a while now. And my family, like, no, my family, my extended family, they only really took me seriously when they saw me like on MTV.
Really?
I mean, yeah, because nobody really knows anyone in their family who does, creative line of work and is successful, like is a, well renowned and blah blah blah. So you have to share with them. You have to constantly want to. And I always do. I always explain to them. I don't get irritated, of people thinking like, oh, this is not going to be a viable and sustainable way for you to like live. But you just prove to yourself, so you can prove to others, because you don't need to be like, all negative about it.
I think like with you, right? You're obviously living your dream, pursuing what your vision and what you want in life. Have you ever come to a point at any point of stage where you actually struggle to actually pursue that, or not following your dreams but settling for something else just because it's not there yet? You open a door and it's not there yet, the first door that you've ever opened,
right?
And then you struggle to do something that you are not willing to do. For example, I don't know, maybe for some people they're studying medicine but they want to be a rapper,
right?
And then some want to be an actor but they are doing, I don't know, law, right? Yeah. So
That's
have you ever been to that point?
I have actually, and I was actually in Taylor studying South Australian matriculation, majoring in law and psychology and economics.
Okay.
And it was great. I was doing really, really well. And then I realized that, music was going to be a better platform for me to reach out to the masses, as opposed to, studying law and then maybe practicing and then becoming a politician, which is going to take a longer time because, hello, female / rapper / booty shaking. Like, who's going to listen to you in Malaysia? You know what I'm saying? We're not like Arnold Schwarzenegger. You can be a governor, and an actor. I said that to you before. And I decided to, drop out of college, and my parents was like, okay, it's fine, but you have to like make your own money, And so I worked in corporate for the first time. I worked in Uber in customer service for about 8 months.
This was when was this?
This was in 2013. I came in Germany. 2014, 2015 until 2016.
Damn.
End of 2015 until 2016. Yeah.
Wow.
I worked in Uber, and it was not that I didn't love it. I loved it because I'm a people's person, so I always got to meet different people. I trained all the drivers on how to use the app, but I didn't have time to go to the studio. I didn't have time to write. I didn't have time to pursue what I wanted to do. So, but I knew that by doing that, I would at least get X amount of money or something that I could probably try and pay for studio time. But when you work in corporate, it's like 12 hours and then 12 hours, and then you come back home, you're still on your computer.
Yeah, I mean, it takes up a lot of your time and energy.
It does.
I like your game plan where just now you mentioned get the attention of people first with your music, and then in the long run you mentioned as well in Singapore that you wanted to be a politician in 20 years. You have a 40 years game plan?
Well, I mean, don't quote me on me being a politician, okay?
Oh, yeah,
because I don't want people to get that twisted, you know what I'm saying? But what I want to do is I want to be in any I did say I have a 40-year plan. I said 20 years to do music, and it could be longer, it could be shorter. You never know. But this is obviously what I have in my mind. And then afterwards, when I'm content with my music and happy with where how much I've put out, and really have challenged myself in all forms of music, I would like to go into, working with the Ministry of Arts and Culture, the Ministry of Education, because just like there is a demand for like an Asian female rapper, you can also see the demand of a better quality of education, and this is coming from me being in like sekolah menengah and kebangsaan, you know what I'm saying? This is all from my own experiences.
Yeah. And again, not to generalize.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why I feel like I can be of best use, because if people with the right research and development, obviously, in trying to create the best platform for the young generation, because that is really what we're doing all these things for. Like I'm not making, I am making music for myself. I love music, don't get me wrong, but ultimately it's about who is the next young person who's going to listen to Zamaera and Zamaera's music and go like, wow, if this chick could do it, I could do it too. And then this little kid who's been listening to me becomes like the next Michael Jackson or something.
You spark the next generation.
You spark the next generation, and that's what it's always been about, because we can't just rely on we can't just rely on the people now, because we have younger individuals coming in, and we have to give them that platform. I was lucky because, my parents worked extremely hard. Like my dad worked really hard. He worked a couple of jobs at one point at the same time. And because of that, he was able to give us this opportunity to go for piano class or go for something without thinking that this piano class would come out as me becoming a musician, a full-time, It was just like, tak apa, it's okay, it's your hobby. Go and try. But not a lot of people have that. We have to recognize that not a lot of people have full families, and when I say full families, it's like having both parents. There's a lot of cases of divorce, and like in my 10 friends, I would say 3 parents is already divorced, or one is deceased or something like that. And then, or when you do have a family, are they the right kind of support group? Are they showing you the support? Or are they the kinds of people who are like, oh, don't do this because I told you cannot do, or you cannot go to art stream because if you go science stream you got better opportunity. Like, how many times I've heard that?
You think that's an Asian thing though, or is it?
I don't think it's an Asian thing, because I think in almost yes, it persists a lot more in Asia, because we have this, especially in Malaysia, we only had science stream and art stream because we only had these 2 options. So had we had other options, I think we would have been able to harness sort of our skill and talent at a very young age. And so where I'm coming with all these things is that the opportunity, the only thing that set me apart with everyone else is the opportunity that was given to me. And not everybody has the opportunity to do to go out of school, go for extra classes and all that, because that takes time and money, So where the household, where they can't provide you the opportunity, it should be given to you in school, So I'm super for this. I read just last month, they had our Minister of Education. He said that they have plans on abolishing the streams and have more sort of art subjects included as part of the regular choices of subjects. So I don't know what they're doing to get to that step, but if there's already a conversation about it, that's the most important thing.
From my observation, right, you have a very beautiful soul.
Thank you.
You're compassionate, you care for other people, and you're very supportive.
Thank you.
I remember in Singapore, there was this moment where Alice was like, you wanted to, hey, let's do a video, a freestyle or something, a promotional video. Then Alice was like, no, I can't do that. No, you can, Alice, you will do it. And you started giving a lecture, and I'm like, wow. The cup overflows, and I felt it. You are trying to inspire him, but I felt inspired. Do you know how crazy that is?
And that's the thing. I've always felt that as well. Even him being in the studio with me, Airless, for example, he's always he's able to come up with different writing themes. He wrote his first Malay song with me the other day, and it's so great to be a part of bringing the best out in people. That's always me, whether it's with my friends and my family, or with any ex-boyfriends that I've had before. I've always been 150% my career, 150% a girlfriend, 150% everything, because I'm trying to push. I'm not here to make other people feel comfortable, and I only say this because at one point I used to be that person who was super comfortable, happy with what I had. My dad called me out the first time. And he was like, Zamaera, you never follow through with what you want to do, At one point I wanted to be a tennis player. At one point I wanted to do, journalism. I wanted to study law and all these things. And I never finished it, And I always had an issue. And my dad told me that. I was I broke down because it was the truth. And it was something that I couldn't I didn't acknowledge and I couldn't admit. And if these two things don't happen, you cannot take action into changing that. You know what I'm saying? And so all of these things of me recognizing stuff is only because I went through them. Just like my song Helly Kelly, it was about, you know, not having any a wordplay on Helen Keller, because Helen Keller is the first deafblind person who, you know, essentially got a degree, you know, so she couldn't see, right? So I said Helly Kelly is for someone who doesn't have vision. So vision, I didn't mean like vision like impaired who cannot see me, but vision as in like the far future punya vision with their goals. But this is and I said, you said that you was working. I saw your Insta story 4 a.m. and you still twerking. I was talking about me. People were like, oh, who are you dissing? I wasn't dissing anybody. I was talking about myself.
Yeah.
But this was like that at that point of time, it was like myself like 2 years ago or myself 1 year ago, you know? And at that point of time, I was able to just laugh about it because it's not me anymore. You know? And then I tell everybody, then everyone in their group, I know somebody who's like a Helly Kelly also, you know? Like I know someone who's like that.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm super happy that I'm able to be open about my flaws as much as I am happy open about my successes and goals and things like that, because it's crucial. It's crucial to share with the people around you your mistakes, because by sharing your mistakes with other people get equally as inspired and they feel comfortable, because then it doesn't feel like they're the only ones making mistakes, and mistakes don't define you, especially but you have to learn from them, because the thing about life is it will throw you the same goddamn lesson until you learn from that mistake. And even after you learn from that mistake, it's always going to be a challenge per se for you to not repeat the mistake again. You make new mistakes, you know. You make new mistakes, like, you know, when you tried out this podcasting, I'm sure there's so many trial and error.
Exactly, yeah.
Right?
Not just with podcasts, with life.
With life, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
With life.
Everything is trial and error. I also feel like in everything we do, there's a certain there will always be a certain hardship, and you sort of have to choose what you're willing to struggle for. You know? If you like. Because like there's a lot of things to do in this life, you know. Sometimes you can get overwhelmed. Like you want to do everything. I'm sure you've been there. Like you mentioned, tennis, law, and you want to try everything, live life to the fullest. But then, if you don't dive deep and focus, that will be a problem to achieve greatness, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because for you to achieve greatness, I mean, like every, I think, successful artist or person, you know, can tell you the same thing. It's about repetition or evolution, you know. It's either you repeat or you evolve, or you repeat so much until it's time for you to evolve, and then you repeat again the same things. Correct or not? It's not like I could rap, you know, whatever 165 BPM just like that in one take. No, I couldn't. I had to start. Like yesterday somebody asked me how to rap fast, because that's like the generation these days. Like that's how they think they can make it, just rapping fast. You know, it's not about rapping fast, but for you to rap fast, if you guys really want to know, is to rap slow first. You start at 60 BPM, you rap it like 10 times, and the next 10 times you do it at 62 BPM, then you 63 BPM until you reach 165.
So it's practice, right?
It's practice.
Practice makes perfect, right? So with all these music, your music career, with where you are today, and it comes down, it's attached to the fact that you are now sort of famous, right? With people knowing who you are and how you look like. Do you feel like there's a certain like privacy invaded at times, like where you want to be alone, but the world knows who you are in a way? Does it bother you?
No. Well, first of all, I mean, I'm really not that famous. Like I have friends who are like, you know, more well known than me, and I can, so you know, I understand that about that whole privacy thing and people coming like you tengah makan and people datang, you know,
and photos,
right?
And,
It's never. I mean, it hasn't hit me like that before, you know. But I mean, there are people. For example, hari tu kat KLCC, I was having like a meeting with cake and stuff, and then the chefs from the restaurant, they wanted to take a picture, but they waited. They didn't come up to me, and like they waited, you know. So I thought that was really sweet. I'm not gonna jinx it, so because I know, like, I understand, like, you know, when it comes to that point when you have like 1 million followers, these things happen.
Yeah.
But for now, as where I am at right now, I'm very particular about what I share. For example, I share most of the things that I do on my day-to-day basis, like with my family and with my friends and also with my fans, because my fans are my family. And it's because of the fans, you are where you are today, because of them streaming your music, constantly sharing. And because I only have 28,000 followers, you are bound to read all the comments, that come up, because we're handling our own Instagram accounts, we're handling our own YouTube. I read all the comments, but what I allow to affect me is the one that makes the difference. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because if you for example, an artist who's having dinner with their family or something, and then one fan comes, fan's like, okay, can I take a picture? And you're like, okay, of course, you're obliged, okay? Then the 10th person come to you. How are you going to allow that to affect you? Are you going to be like, macam, oh, can you please see I'm eating right now? Or are you going to be like, oh, sekejap lagi kita ambil makan? There's it's always a different way to choose to react to certain things.
Yeah.
I've never allowed, whether it's negative or positive comments, to affect me, because if you live by what other people say, it will be the death of your career, because only you know how good you can get, and and all the things that you haven't done yet, only you know. So for me, it's very crucial to stay neutral. Be positive, of course. Always take things with a pinch of salt. But really enjoy the journey. Really enjoy the journey, which is, I'm really enjoying it right now.
Yeah. You can see that you're always yourself, right?
Yeah.
For those people who are struggling to be themselves because they care so much about what other people think, what would you say to them?
Well, I mean, there's no complicated solution to that. It's super simple. Is you have to stop thinking about what other people think of you. Because as long as you have this at the back of your head, before you do something, it's oh, what will this person think if I do this? What will this person think if I do this? What will they say? You will never be able to even, perform this task or whatever it is that you want to do in its entirety, because you are so concerned about how it will affect the other people around you, when in fact you are doing it for yourself. This life is yours.
Yeah.
I don't believe in putting yourself in a position that doesn't make you happy. Of course, certain people, like your family, your friends, that's when compromise comes into play, because you love them, because that's plus love. Then you would say something differently, then you would do something differently, because of the love. But when it comes to for example, your job, or even your friends that, attitude or something that you don't want to tolerate and stuff, you communicate it out. You have to say. Because my dad always told me, do you want to make other people feel comfortable first and then you are uncomfortable, or you comfortable first and then the other person uncomfortable? Of course I want to be comfortable first, because if I keep on making other people feel comfortable and I'm actually not cool with it, at one point you're going to burst. And hence why we have so many unspoken issues of mental health, issues that we don't even talk about, because it's taboo in Malaysia. You get over it, and you don't get over it, and it becomes harmful to you, your body, it's detrimental to your health. Because your body creates toxins when you feel angry and you don't let it go, whether it's through some kind of therapeutic or whatever. Different people have a different form of releasing anger, releasing stress, frustration, and all these things. You have to constantly find what works for you, because in life there's no template. There's no okay, this you follow this one, ada macam the isi, the kandungan, this one, is this the ending? No, there isn't. I don't believe in that. And I feel like everybody has the right to sort of to look for what they want, and they can do it. You cannot let other people, stop you from doing it. You don't even know whether this person is thinking about you or not. Like, you know?
Yeah. You
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You mentioned mental health, right? That is something that a lot of people are struggling right now. Depression, mental health. And I also saw on your Insta story you mentioned your body is your temple.
Yes.
Right? Do you think it's, going to the gym and working out, like physical health, has something to do with our mental health?
Of course. Definitely. I mean, like, our body is interconnected with everything, you know. Simple as, like, for me, I remember the first time I really got interested with body, like, anatomy, was not even in school, but I went for massage. Then the lady, the masseur, she started pressing on my forearm, right? And then the closer she got to my forearm, and she's actually pressing my tendon, my fingers were moving like this, like closing, and I didn't know why. And I was like, oh my God, it's because your tendon is here, and then you can actually just contract and expand. I was like, okay, that's crazy. Then she massaged my ankle, then my headache goes away. Because your ankle, like a part of your ankle at the side is connected to your, you know, brain or something like that, where you store your angin or something, and it's amazing. Your body is interconnected. Your body will heal itself if it needs to. My dad had a heart attack, and he went for a bypass surgery. Did you know that your arms have like 3 arteries, well, 2 extra ones in your arms, just in case you need it for something like a bypass surgery?
Holy shit!
That is unused.
That. Wow.
Isn't that awesome? Yeah. And so you have to realize that, you know, your body is there for you when you need it. Like, you know, how we fight like the white blood cells and platelets and stuff. When you get a cut, it will heal itself. But if you don't give it the right sort of nutrients, and nutrients, I mean not only through food, but like the right space of mind to think, you know, enough air to breathe, you know, just like exercising your body, because we are just the body is just a vessel. It's just a vessel that carries us around, you know, and this vessel will wither, you know, according to time. As time flies by, the body will wither. So don't you want to see what the body is capable to do and the mind is capable to do in its like fullest capacity? And the thing is, we'll never know what the fullest capacity is. Because every time you reach like what you think is the fullest capacity, then you're like, oh, okay, I can go harder. What you think is like, you know, like 20 reps is like your fullest capacity, suddenly you can do like 25, then you can do 30, then you do 25. By that time, your body is different already. Your mind is different. My trainer told me that. Like I asked him, like the first time, my trainer Daniel Wambeck, I said, what is the strongest part of your body? I genuinely wanted to know, you know, which muscle group. And he was like, it's not which muscle group, it's your mind is the strongest part of your body. Right? I know, it's so crazy. When he said that to me, I was like, whoa, you taking a real deep on his first class.
So that means for someone who's going through depression or they are not excited about life, so you would say the first step would be try to improve your physical health first, and then see how that
I think when it comes to mental health, there's no what you should do first. Like I said, there's no template for that as well, you know. But you have to keep on trying. Whether it's meeting a therapist to talk about someone who's unbiased, you know, so you can talk about your experiences that you've been having in life to somebody who is not like your family or your friend, and then can also give you professional consultants and advice on the different exercises that you can do, you know. I don't necessarily agree with medication, because I have a family member, you know, who has had severe sort of depression, and they took the medication and it was just making them feel groggy. So some people it might help, but some people it doesn't. So never going through like putting something in your body and then trying out different things. Go for a hike, go for yoga, go for you know, whatever, cooking, talking, like reading books, writing. Like for me, I was, to be honest, you know, I was at one point I was looking for a therapist to talk to, but just so I can like let my whatever frustrations and stuff out to someone. And I couldn't find anyone in sort of the region that fit me, you know, to what I wanted. Like the vibe was not right. And so I went for yoga. I went for yoga instead, and yoga gave me this like space like where I could just not think about anything else but my body and my mind. Really, and it really, really helped me. Some people say, "Oh, yoga doesn't work," but that's why everybody has a different mindset. Everybody has a different body, so you have to keep on trying. That's the thing. You have to keep on trying if it doesn't work for you, because everybody goes through challenges and struggles. It's how you deal with it, And for example, the family member that I had who was having depression, it was how they couldn't see what the solution was. They couldn't snap out of that moment where they were just emotional. And that's a thing, and that's why there are ways to overcome it. Obviously it's not going to be easy. I'm not saying this macam senang je korang ni kan just snap out of it lah. No, don't ever say that. Don't ever think about it that way, because people who are going through sort of mental health issues are especially the ones who are undiagnosed. Dekat Malaysia ni or wrongly diagnosed. That's even worse.
Yeah.
So make sure you keep on trying, and by being positive, by being present to your reality, knowing what things you're consuming in your body. Because if you consume, for example, alcohol or even recreational drugs, it's the same thing as being too emotional. Your judgment is still clouded. You have to be present. You have to know, what is this inside? People don't know. People don't know this. Why am I using the shampoo? Shampoo ni, why is it making my hair dry? Because got, lauryl sulfate, which is not good for my curly hair, because my curly hair is dense and needs more water, and all those kind of stuff. People, you have to find your truth. Hashtag truth. Trying to fit that song in, guys.
Do you have any message for them girls specifically who has been following you all these years, and if you could have one last message for them, woman empowerment kind of thing, motivation, positivity, what would you say to them?
First thing, the one thing that I would say is, girl, it ain't gonna be easy. No matter what you do, whether you're a daughter, a friend, a sister, a wife, in whatever industry, you will always be microscopically judged. You will be taken through this sort of entire process where everything that you do, there has to be a question. Why she can do this? How come she is doing this good? How come she is, getting all these followers? How come she can get this position? And people will question you. It's going to be tough. But we are made to be a woman because we can handle these things, And I don't say that to single out men, but women. I mean, when you think about the women in your life, whether it's your mom or your sister or whoever it is that you've chosen as sort of a role model, a woman that's in your life. Imagine your life without this person. It will be less colorful. Women generally are more empathetic. But at the same time stern and wanting and pushing, and we're able to carry human beings inside us for 9 months, and still that's, every time I think about that, I always feel like crying, because I want to I always think about my mom and all the things that I've done to her that was wrong, and I've hurt her feelings and things like that. But then growing up, and then you become a woman, you understand all these things that you will face, and then when you overcome them, you realize that it's because you are a woman you are able to go through, all these challenges that life has set for you, physically and mentally. And it's like I said from the beginning, it's not going to be easy, women. It's not going to be easy, ladies. But it's okay. Sometimes all you need is a Beyonce song.
Oh, yeah.
To make you feel good again. Wednesday, Thursday, ladies' night in KL. Get yourself loose.
Okay, this is where I flip the script, right? And let you ask me any question that you have on top of your mind, 2 or 3 questions. Anything, preferably not about the podcast, because the world knows what I'm going for. Anything that you are curious about that no one could ever think of, go for it.
Okay, I have one question for you. Yeah. How much wood does a woodchucker chuck if a woodchucker chuck wood? How much? Because I never knew the answer to that question.
I don't know either.
You don't know either, right? No, I was just being silly. Yeah, basically, I want to know, when you reach out to all the people that you interview, what is like your thought process behind that? Because we were talking about the manifestation, law of attraction. Do you actually think in your head like, oh, I want to interview this person one day, and then it happens? Or do you like plan? Do you plan like, okay, this is my person for this month. This is my person I'm going to try and reach out. If they don't, I have to move on to the next one.
Oh, for me, it's more of the first one of the thing. Like, but subconsciously, I guess I planned it in my head, but not so much. Like write it down and try to like puzzle it all together. It's more of I know, because like it may sound like dumb if people who don't believe in law of attraction would say
exactly.
Yeah, like I know I'll get him, I know I'll get her, and then like how you need to know how. I'm like, no, don't worry about it, I'll get it. It doesn't make sense to a lot of people, but that's how I function, and I believe that there is a reason why we met. I always believe that the like birds of feather flock together. There must be a common point. You just have to look for it. I might not be as extroverted as you are, as loud, as crazy overflowing as you are, but there are certain things. Now I found it. It's a manifestation thing. That is what is connecting us. You know? And yeah, but with this podcasting, it's not like a must that I have to have that person, but it's more of someone who I feel is different. Someone who I feel has something to contribute to the conversation, because it's a learning process for me. This is like, if you think about it, right, a conversation like this, uninterrupted. When was the last time you actually had that?
Yeah, I had one in the car.
And okay, and
I have a podcast like interview in almost every Grab car like rides I get into. Okay, seriously, okay. I should start that. Now you're giving me an idea. Maybe I should do Grab car podcast.
Yeah, you should do it.
I should totally do that.
Yeah,
for like long trips, obviously.
Yeah. And then that's what I feel, and people always have the idea that because the world, we kind of escape the reality of everything has to be monetized mostly, right? So I don't want it to be. I don't want to put a pressure on people that I want to invite in, because it's not so much of a brand. I don't mean to like, because you're famous and I want you in it so that people, it's not like that. It's your story. It's Joe Flizzow, the Johan Isha, It's not so much of Joe Flizzow. It's Joe Flizzow before Joe Flizzow. That's what I want to know. The human being side of things.
Right.
But people get scared, like famous people especially. They're like, oh, okay, you know what I mean? Because I get it. Everything has to be monetized. Like MTV has to pay you to be on the show because that kind of thing.
And also because I think some people are just not comfortable with sharing or as open, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm fairly very open in terms of, all the things that I do. But yeah, I can understand that. But have you ever, what will be cool? Have you ever interviewed your family? Like your parents?
I haven't.
I think that would be really, really interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, not only for you, as their son, but I think like someone who is, much older than you, working in probably an industry that's not, creative, like this, like not that I'm assuming, they're not creative, but I think so.
I mean, there's always like some creative ones and some
exactly. So it will come from a totally different perspective. I think it'll be really cool. Like if you ever, like I've always recorded my dad when he talks to me like this. We like my dad's like one of my best friends, and I get really inspired when I talk to him. So I will record my conversations with him sometimes. And mana tahu boleh sample dalam album kan one day. So you should maybe. How many siblings do you have?
There's 5 of us.
Oh, there you go. See?
Yeah.
5 + 2, 7 people you can interview. You can pick and choose. Because I think it's really interesting. I did a podcast last week with a lady named Melinda Garvey from Austin, Texas.
Wow.
and she has a podcast called On the Spot.
Okay.
But she interviews women just from all around the world who are just like everyday, you know, not Kim Kardashians, not Ellen DeGeneres and Oprah Winfrey's, because these names people already know, and it's great because you do get inspired. But there is, she said, based on her research, there is a lack of regular everyday role models, female role models. And she has this vision where, like, you know, when ladies are getting ready to do the makeup, like, you know, the podcast is only 4 minutes long. So just imagine when you listen to that podcast, how will it change the conversation of women, like, for example, asking for a raise at the workplace, or, you know, asking for whether they can have, because in the US they have issue with when you get pregnant and then you have, what do you call it? Paid leave. Yeah, so their paid leave is very short. Right. So how will it change the conversation in, like, how you know, connect with other people and things like that. So I thought that was really cool that she does that. And then she's interviewed her family too, so that's funny.
Oh, thanks for that question. That's great. If you could have any cup of coffee with a dead musician specifically, who would it be, and what kind of conversation will you have with them?
Wow, any dead musician? Yeah. Definitely Tupac.
Wow.
Definitely Tupac.
All eyes on him.
All eyes on him. I mean, that is if he's dead. Yeah. No, like, I mean, I do. I mean, I don't believe in all the other, like, theories and stuff that he's in Batu Caves or whatever.
What the
right, like
Tupac is in Batu Caves?
Yeah, last year it came out. You didn't know? You didn't see?
I didn't know.
Suge Knight's son said that Tupac is in Batu Caves. and is alive. Like, imagine that. Imagine that. Isn't that crazy? I don't know. I just would want him to talk, but I don't know whether he would be inclined to talk to me.
I mean, you'd be surprised. Like, what would be on top of your head that you're curious about to know or to have conversation?
I just want to know him.
Yeah.
And then I would ask him at the end of the conversation, "Will you marry me?" I mean, not because of, I mean, obviously he's so good looking, but then in all his interviews that I've watched, he's just so insightful and perspectful, because, like, he comes from a totally different generation of hip hop, you know, when hip hop was like a tool of expression for a very oppressive time, you know, and hence why, like, it's been an evolution. That's why back then it was like so many lyrics and so many, like, things and meanings and differently, and then now it's like, you know, simplified, like mumble rapping, for example, more melodic and things like that, which is fine, you know, but because that's what evolution is. Can't hate on that, but, you know, I just want to hear, like, what he went through as a person.
I think he is a strong figure, right? He went through a lot, because I've seen his interview. He was 17 or 18. Have you seen that? Of course, right?
I'm not sure. I mean, whether I've watched a lot.
Yeah?
The one with Biggie, is it?
No, he was alone. This was before he was famous.
Oh, it was before he was famous.
And then he was alone at the porch or something, and he was talking about life.
Yeah. I love that.
And then that was before he's about to go through all the hardships of the prison and stuff, right?
Yeah.
I think,
Tupac. That I would definitely, love to meet Tupac.
Cool. All right, down to the last question.
Okay.
How do you want the world to remember Zamaera at the end of the day?
I want the world to remember me as, like, there's this one song that I always think about whenever I think of that question, because I've asked this to myself, and it goes like this. I was here, I lived, I loved, I was here, I gave my all, everything that I wanted, and it was more than I thought it would be. I will leave my mark so everyone will know I was here. And that's by Beyonce, and it just, you know, talks about how I want people to remember me by doing something for them, you know? Whether it was start the conversation, whether it was opening this new envelope for, like, females in hip-hop in Malaysia, whether it was bringing the best version out of them. You know, and them could be individualistic, them could be a whole society, them could be a community, them could be the entire country, them could be the world.
Damn. Wow. Thank you so much, Zamaera, for
Thank
being part of Hello Kopi Ke Milo
you.
podcast. It's a legendary day, 22nd of April 2019.
That's right.
A day to remember for life.
That's sure. This is
Malefico and Zamaera.
Malefico and Zamaera. Peace out.
Peace out. Damn, that was good.
It's good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello Kopi Ke Milo podcast. Malefico signing out.